As most of you know, my husband and I, Tim, are moving from New York to California at the end of June, and through the process of us organizing our move, we have learned a lot of things along the way, and I wanted to share some of those things with you. So if you want to move across the country from the East Coast to West Coast, or vice versa, that you kind of know what to expect, and hopefully these tips can really help you along the way. It can be intimidating, I get it, but it doesn't have to be, and I really hope these tips ease your stress and anxiety about it. The number one thing I want to talk about is research. It is so important to do your research before you move anywhere new. I feel like this is pretty obvious to most people, but maybe it's not. The type of things that you need to ask and look into are, what is the cost of living? What's the culture like? What's the weather like? Will I be happy in that type of climate year round? What type of values do the people who live there have? That's probably something that you normally wouldn't think about, but it's pretty important, especially if you want to move someplace and be there long term. That's something that you really need to consider. And another good thing to do if you know people who live there, or if you know people who visit there frequently or who have been there before, ask them what they think of it, especially if you know and trust them and you value their opinion. It's great to get their take on it and what they think of it, and if they think that you will fit yourself living in that city. To look up the cost of living and how much it will be to actually live and dwell there, a good thing to do is check on Craigslist or Zillow, HotPads, get a feel of what the average amount for rent would be, what you're willing to pay. Maybe it's too high for you, maybe it's not, maybe you have to adjust your point of view a little bit depending on what you're looking for. And really research and look into the different vibes and culture that you get from each neighborhood. Because every city has lots of different neighborhoods with different feels and a different subculture within that city, and it's important to know which neighborhood fits you best and which one you will be the happiest living in. The next important thing to do when you're moving across the country is to save and budget your money. It's a general good rule of thumb to do this in life anyway, to save and budget your money, but it is especially important when you are moving. So after you've done your initial research on where you want to live, the cost of living, blah, 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 you have a better idea of how much money you need to save in order to move there. Some things to take into consideration are your security deposit you'll need for an apartment, a few months rent saved up in case something happens with your job, and different moving expenses. So you need to think about how you want to move and all the stuff that you want to take with you. There are a few different ways that you can go about doing this. It all depends on your situation and what you're looking for. So for us, we're going the route of selling everything that we can and starting fresh in California, because a lot of the stuff that we own isn't super nice and worth keeping around, and it would actually be cheaper if we sold it and started fresh than it would be to spend the money to transfer it from the East Coast to the West Coast. Like, there's nothing that we really have that we care that much about that we have to keep in our lives. But if there are some things that you want to take with you on your move, you have lots of different options. You can pull a U-Haul trailer, you can drive a U-Haul truck, you can just pull a trailer on the back of your car, you can have the pod service come, which is where they drop a pod thing in your front or backyard and you fill it up to the brim, and then they drive it there for you, and then you can either like fly or drive to your destination to where you're moving. And if you are keeping your vehicle, you can either drive it obviously to your new location, or you can have someone ship it there. And this is pretty pricey. It can range from, I believe, $1,200 to $1,500. So if you have the money to do that and you don't mind spending it, why not? I would love to do that because I hate long road trips, and I would just love to fly to California and be done with it and not have to spend like 4 or 5 days on the road. The thing that I love the most about moving is it really forces you to reevaluate your life and the things and possessions that you own, and if they're really worth keeping around. So for us, especially moving such a long distance, we really need to take into consideration, okay, what do we actually want to keep so badly that we are willing to sacrifice valuable space or valuable money to take with us? The next thing I want to talk about when moving across the country is finding a job and a place to live. It really helps to find one of these things first. Either you find your job first, and that affects where you want to live depending on the commute that you're looking for, or you find your apartment first, apartment or house, and then that affects where you look for work. It all depends on your personal preferences, what you do for a living, where you want to live, what neighborhood you want to live in, and what type of commute you are willing to do. So, things to consider: if you work in a neighborhood that you absolutely hate and you don't want to live in, then you'll have to live in a neighborhood that is further away from your job, and you need to be aware that your commute will be longer. And are you okay with that? Are you okay with sitting in traffic 30 to 45 minutes every day to go to your job, or are you don't want to waste your time doing that? It all depends on what you're looking for. Or maybe you're a person who wants to bike or walk to work. Maybe you should consider finding your job first and then finding the apartment or house in that surrounding area. Basically, everyone is different, and I cannot answer this for you. It's all up to you and figuring out what is important to you. My husband works for an amazing company. He loves his job, and thankfully, he will be able to work for the same company, and he'll be able to do it remotely from our house and just work in his home office. And he is super stoked about it. So excited. So maybe that could be an option for you. If you work for someone or a company, corporation, maybe ask them if it is possible for you to move to a certain location and work remotely. There are lots of different jobs out there where you only really need a computer and Wi-Fi to get the job done, and that's amazing. And it never hurts to ask. It's important to ask these questions and not just assume that they're gonna say no or have an idea of what they might say before you even ask, because then you're just selling yourself short. You are answering the question with a no before you even ask it. And if they do say no, it will be okay. You just have to do a little bit more of a rearranging with your plans, reevaluate what you're gonna do and figure it out from there. Maybe you find a new job. Maybe you start working at a different job or company that you're happier with. If you really want to move, you can make it happen. Don't let other people dictate your happiness or what you want to do in life. You got to make it happen. You have to be your advocate and you have to fight for it. Don't let fear hold you back from what you want to do, where you want to live, the job you want to have. Go for it, put your heart into it, work hard, and absolutely have no regrets. Sometimes it's important to step outside of our comfort zone in order to get what we really want. Another good thing to do when you are trying to lock down a job and a place to live is fly out to your new city that you're gonna live in a month to 3 weeks before you intend to move to lock down a job or an apartment. So before that, before you leave to visit, you can schedule some interviews, you can schedule some walkthroughs at apartments, you can bring all your paperwork with you so you have it ready to go when you find the perfect apartment for you, the perfect house. And this just makes it a lot easier, and it kind of eases your mind so that you aren't freaking out when you first get there and you have no idea where you're gonna live, you have no idea where you're gonna work, and you don't want to crash at your friend's or family's house in the meantime. By all means, if you have family or friends that live in the city that you're moving to, feel free to stay with them while you figure it out, get a job, an apartment. Tim and I don't really have that. We don't have a strong safety net yet in San Diego. We don't have family. We do have some close friends that are moving there, but we kind of want to do this on our own. We're very independent people and we're grown ass adults. So we don't really want to rely on people to, while we find apartments and jobs and stuff like that. So this is just the way that works out for us. But by all means, if you are younger, if you are maybe a teenager or you are in college or still in school and you are looking to move across the country, by all means, reach out to people in your life that you're close to, family members, whoever, and see if they are willing to help you out in any way, to see apartments for you, maybe you can stay there with them while you are looking for jobs. Don't be afraid to ask people in your life for help and guidance. It all just depends on you and what you want and what you're comfortable with. Tim and I just don't want to do that, and we don't really feel it necessary to do that. So those are all the tips that I have for you moving across the country. If you liked this video and found it helpful, give it a thumbs up and comment down below. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel by clicking the little red subscribe button down below. Hit the bell icon so that you're notified every time I post a new video. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourself, eat good food. Bye.